Mike Gardner, a host, unfiltered, unscripted, raw. Hey guys, this episode today is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Next time, guys, you want to go online, whether it's your phone, your tablet, or your laptop, you can now feel safe by going online safely with just a few taps with ExpressVPN, engineered to protect your privacy and security. Check them out on Google Play or the App Store. Just key in ExpressVPN and they'll pop right up. Right now, folks, they have a 7-day free trial. That's right. Download it for free on your Android phone, tablet, or TV, or on the App Store, ExpressVPN. Connect to 3,000 plus VPN servers in 160 locations in 94 countries. Safely access an unrestricted world of great content and apps with powerful speed and unlimited bandwidth. Protect your data and online activity with best-in-class encryption. Secure your connection on public Wi-Fi hotspots. Folks, it's also the industry's leading privacy protection. Browse in peace while keeping your IP address and location private. Under their strict privacy policy, they don't collect activity logs or connection logs. It's been independently audited to ensure your protection. So if you want to go online without worrying that your data or your online activity is going to be hacked or looked at, download ExpressVPN today, guys. Rated mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast. All right, guys, welcome to the show. Happy, what's today, Tuesday? Jesus Christ, the week is going on way too fast. Way too fast, I tell you. Way too fast. Anyway, guys, welcome to today's show. Welcome, guys. I want to get into this episode, and I really want to appreciate my following, right? My listeners, that's just growing tremendously, I'd like to say. And guess what, guys? Speaking of following, right? We here at the podcast have decided to create a Facebook group page. We're kind of, experimenting with it to see how it works for us. I've heard from other people that have Facebook group pages that they do work at tremendous levels. So we're going to try to test the waters out to see how it works, and see exactly the benefits of using a Facebook group page. I've seen them. I share my content on a couple of group pages. I'm not going to lie. There's nothing wrong with it, to spread the good word, the good message of your content, this podcast out there. Because I believe, guys, that this podcast deserves a huge platform. So, we've decided to create a Facebook group page, guys, okay, here on the show. Okay, and you could find this group page if you search Unfiltered Patriot Nation, okay? It's a public group page. We're not, on the private settings. But we do have settings on that that need to be approved, of course, due to, possibly illegal content being exposed. We don't want that. We certainly don't want to get in trouble, with that being said. But it is more, I'm allowing the listeners to voice their opinions, voice their thoughts, their reactions. I'm allowing that on this group page, okay? Hence, unfiltered, okay? But we understand that we're only allowed to say so much on social media. I get it, okay? We've been fighting this, myself and others, other conservative podcast hosts, other radio talk shows, been fighting against big tech, censorship, shadow banning for the longest of time. I've been mentioning it on my show for the longest of time. So we understand that there are some restrictions with these groups, okay? These group pages of what I'm learning. So you could find us, guys, on Facebook, our brand new group page. And please, check us out. A lot of the content that you hear on the podcast here, whether it's the video podcasting, whether they're streaming on YouTube or Twitch, you'll find a lot of it on this group page, on the new Facebook group page, Unfiltered Patriot Nation. So take a dander, right, if that's a word. Take a glance at it, guys. You might like what you see. I also have another group page with my official website, patriotanglepodcast.com, which is free, guys. You can head over to the website, and on the section there, you'll see a group page on that website. It's completely free. We don't ask for a dime, guys. Join it. If you're getting tired of the censorship, if you're getting tired of the shadow banning, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, head over to my website, guys. We don't shadow ban. We don't censor. We believe in free speech. And it might be the right site for you guys. So head over to www.patriotanglepodcast.com. Okay? Like I said, it's completely free, guys. You'll see a lot of content on that website that we do share here on the podcast here, the main podcast. With that being said, guys, I want to get into a couple topics today on the show. I want to get into, what's buzzing, of course, always here that I share on the podcast, okay, which is positive news, none of that fake shit. I want to get into some topics here on the show, and I also want to share here on the podcast a segment a little later into the show of appreciation to my listeners and my followers. I want to show appreciation to you guys because without you guys, our podcast, it wouldn't exist. It would not exist. So, with that being said, let's get into the first topic here. This first topic here comes from The View. Okay, the people at The View, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and others are now, bashing a former co-host, Jedediah, if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm trying to pronounce it right, Jedediah Bila, okay? She was shut down, guys, just earlier today on ABC's The View after saying she was not vaccinated. So, of course, we have to hear from the liberal nut jobs of that show, which they are, guys. They're complete maniacs of some of the content they even say. I understand free speech. I understand it, guys. Completely understand it. I'm all for free speech. Nothing wrong with it. It's our constitutional rights, our God-given rights, right? If you want to say it like that, because it's true. I believe in free speech. But some of the rhetoric that comes out of these mouths of these women on the show is just uncalled for. And that's my own personal opinion. Check this out, guys. This was earlier today on The View.
Hello. Okay, Jen. So let's discuss. Yeah. Let's address the elephant in the room, because you were supposed to join. You were supposed to join us in the studios weeks ago, but you couldn't because ABC has a very strict policy. You can't get into this building unless you're fully vaccinated. Everybody in this room knows that and is vaccinated. But you made a conscious decision not to get the vaccine. Now, the CDC says a person is 10 times less likely to be hospitalized from COVID and 11 times less likely to die if they've gotten the vaccine. Okay, so why didn't you get it?
Yeah, so my story is a little bit unique. I'll share that first before I get into those CDC numbers. But
remember, we have only a certain amount of time, Jed, if you want to get everything in.
I want to let people know why I'm not there. I have a medical exemption to the vaccine that's been written by my infectious disease vaccinated specialist in New York City that's been co-signed by 3 other doctors. I'm not a candidate for this vaccine. I also have sky-high, multi-tiered, multifaceted natural immunity, very, very high, that has also been proven, it has been shown, and it is substantiated by letters from these doctors. So for me, personally, this vaccine poses a greater risk than a benefit. I'm also not a risk to any of you. I know there's been a lot of debate about that, but I have these doctors who've gone on record with that as well. So my point about all of this is that I am not anti-vax. What I really want is for people to make these decisions for themselves. I want every one of you to sit with your family members, to sit with your trusted doctors, and to say, what is the best decision for me? However, I do oppose mandates. I oppose them on the fact that, let's look at the science. This is a vaccine that was created to prevent severity of disease and to prevent hospitalizations. Now, we can have a whole debate on that in itself, but the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID and does not prevent you from transmitting COVID.
Oh, my goodness.
Reality.
No, that's not so. Come on. No, you've been at Fox TV too long.
You don't have to listen to me on that. You don't have to listen to me. You can listen to the director of the CDC. You can look at the CDC's website. That is why masks were reinstated for people who were vaccinated, because they said, and they admitted, they came out and said, this Delta variant, transmission is going to be a thing for vaccinated and unvaccinated people. So I'm not opposed to the vaccine, but I am opposed to the mandate 100% on the grounds of science.
People have died from COVID, including Manny's in-laws. And we've been friends a long time, but Manny's parents, I just don't understand why you would choose to prioritize your personal freedom.
She's not prioritizing. Shut it off. She's not prioritizing. She's. See, guys, this is why I can't stand the liberal machine of America. Okay? We are now going into just about 2.5 years. Okay? It's been that long already. 2.5 years of this overhyped political weapon of a disease. Because, guys, it's more of a political weapon than an actual disease, okay? Yes, I understand COVID, people can get it, just like people can get the flu, just like people can get the common cold, just like any other disease that we have here in the world that's known to human beings, okay? Anybody can get something. But people look at this thing like it's, you could have the greatest immune system in the world and still get it. That's actually not true, folks. Not true at all. This is just like a common cold or any other contagious disease. You get it if your body is not immune to it. Look at the scientific facts. Stop listening to mainstream media of nut jobs such as The View and others. Did you just hear Miss Billa that was on the show there earlier today on The View? She was saying that she's exempt from the frickin' vaccine because she has a health exemption. A medical health exemption. And plus, she doesn't need the damn thing because you just heard her say it on the show. She has a super hyper natural immune system that's protected against this thing. You know, folks, let's go back to, the early days of our lives, right? When we're little children. Should I give you a history lesson here? Yeah, I'll give you a history lesson before I take my break, okay? When we're children, folks, we are told by our mommy and daddies to go outside, play with your friends, and be in the elements. Do you think mommy and daddy is really saying that because they can get a break from you? They love you. No, it's not because they want to get a break from you. It's not because they need a little time out because mommy and daddy are around their kids constantly. No. Well, probably, yeah. But let's kind of do the little brass tacks here. It's because they want you to go outside to build up your immune system. When you're children, you were supposed to build up your immune system because by the time you get to being like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, your immune system is super high, right? I'm trying to lay the terms for the common liberal out there that does not understand this. When you're children, you were supposed to build up an immune system to this thing or any other virus or disease because by the time, again, I'll say it. I don't care if I sound like a broken record. I'll say it 5, 6, 7 times over. So the common liberal idiot will understand. To have a hyper level of an immune system, it needs to be built up when you're a child. That way, when you get to be an older person, an adult, you don't have problems with viruses or diseases. Case closed. Simple as that. Common sense. Everything. Period. Exclamation mark. Whatever you want to say, guys. I mean, come on. Do we really have to go on and on about how you have to build up your immune system? Because apparently the idiots at The View do not understand this. Come on, folks. Wake up. Patriot Angle Podcast.
OptiWash cycle set for 6. Save water. Save energy too.
Tell me when it's done via smart things. Amazing teamwork for you. Team Samsung. Every time you drive by an empty or abandoned mall, start visualizing King Kong-sized dollar signs. As out of the ashes of all these mall closures, a truly unprecedented opportunity is rising up, offering you the chance to start a simple passive income business that allows you to be free. This right behind me was Karcher Mall. It was a booming mall in the heart of Nampa, Idaho when I was growing up. Now look at it. There's dead stores everywhere. Burlington Coat Factory, Ross, Foot Locker. There was hundreds of stores inside of here, and they're all out of business. And it's not just here, you guys. It's happening all over the place. New York, Chicago, Dallas, Boise, LA, tiny places in Wyoming, Montana, all over America. There's no escaping this death of malls. Yet while these malls are dying, they are making room for a little-known gold rush that few people know about. And it has nothing to do with Shopify or Amazon or even buying their stock. That ship has already sailed, but there's a unique once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity that is expected to bring in over $400 billion of new money that I will tell you about. But if you're still sitting on the sidelines wondering how revolutionary this movement really is, just check out what the Bank of America published. Their study summed up that the tipping point of this movement is happening. From 2009 to 2019, e-commerce grew by 10.4% of total retail sales, and from March and April of 2020, that number grew by 11%, which means in just 8 weeks, e-commerce grew more than it did in the last 10 years. We call this Phase 2, an inflection point where moderately growing markets enter a Phase 2. This is the point where decades of growth happens within a few months. Now, this phase 2 inflection point has created a huge surge of business owners looking for their traffic to their online malls. And if you dig into the research published on the Financial Times, you'll see that digital ad revenues are expected to account for 2/3 of the $633 billion advertising market. That is a staggering $400 billion opportunity for supplying digital traffic to these stores and even regular businesses. Luckily, that's what my business partner Abdul and I have been doing for the last 5 years. We set up these simple online ads for these business owners to bring visitors to their online malls and get paid from them month after month. Like this client that's been paying me $5,150 every single month. Take a look at this simple ad. One of our students created for a jewelry business and another one for a hoodie business. He ran the ad for a month. The business owner generated about $44,000 in sales, and our student made a cool $3,500 off of that. Or Krista, who was left jobless as a single mother of 3 and is now making over $8,000 per month. Or me. I started this 5 years ago when we were experiencing another recession. I lost my job, and today I can happily say me and my business partner have made over $7.5 million by tapping into online malls. How? Simple. As you know, physical malls are dying everywhere because everyone is spending their money online. These online malls need someone who can help them bring in online traffic, because when you help an online mall bring in customers and tens of thousands of dollars worth of sales each month, they will happily pay you $2,000 to $5,000 per month. It's common sense. And once you have a few clients, you can easily make over $10,000 per month. The best part is you can set these ads up using our templates within a few minutes, and they run on autopilot 24/7, bringing visitors to your clients while you're free to do whatever you want, like skiing, hiking, climbing mountains with your best friends, traveling the world, working from your laptop, working from your phone, whatever you want to do. You can do it when you set up this business. And all the while, these business owners are paying regular people like you and I, not tech geniuses or whiz kids, but just simple people. And they pay you month after month.
All right, guys, we're back here at the show. Back to the show. For my new listeners, thank you for allowing myself, okay, to basically, welcome my voice into your personal lives. I don't know how much I can say it, but thank you. Anyway, guys, like I said, for those who's just joining in on the podcast the first time, maybe you're a first listener, or maybe you're even following my social media, right? Whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or now our new Facebook group page on Facebook, Unfiltered Patriot Nation. Or maybe you take a glance at our website, patriotanglepodcast.com. Wherever you're viewing our content, thank you very much. It means a lot, guys. Thank you. Which I want to now bring in on this part of the show some of my listeners, my followers that have said, a lot of different things towards some of my content. I want to show appreciation, okay, to, like I said, some of the listeners, some of the followers, some people not liking some of the content, which is okay. Hey, it's free speech, right? You can't get mad at free speech. I don't care who you are, And try to explain that to a common liberal. They'll look at you with 5 different heads, where they completely see. That's the problem, guys. They don't understand free speech. They don't understand how it works. Most of these liberals here in America are millennials. 80% of them are millennial. They don't understand the Constitution. Here's my point, guys. When you don't understand the Constitution, you're not going to understand things like free speech and everything that goes along with it, guys. So, please, here's something that you can do, okay? Next time a liberal or anybody that does not understand it, don't get mad at them. Just look at them with common concern and kind of shrug your shoulders with just a little laugh, right? It drives liberals nuts when you do that.
That's just the one way of shutting them up. Shrug your shoulders and laugh. You know, I do it all the time. When someone doesn't agree with my content or don't agree with my reaction, you know, which some of it is accurate, some of it's fact. You know, you can't argue with fact. It's a fact, right? Now, that brings me to my next question. I posted something. I want to do a little side note before I show my appreciation to my loyal followers, my patriotic, conservative followers, okay? That brings me to my next point, okay, with this whole fact thing, okay? Like I just mentioned just a couple seconds ago, you can't get upset with fact. You can't argue with fact. Fact is fact. But we're seeing a lot of that now on social media, right? Where we see fact checkers. Now, I don't call them fact checkers. I call them opinion checkers. How the hell can you argue with a fact? Facts are facts. And sometimes facts are also proven to be wrong. I mean, you could post something on Facebook and it can be proven to be wrong. So why call these people fact checkers? You call them opinion checkers, right? I mean, does that make sense? Show of hands, does it make sense? That's tuning me on, on audio here. Okay, does that make sense? We can't say it's a fact because unless it's proven to be a fact, then that's the standard, right? That's the blueprint standard of it. If it's wrong, it's not a fact. Then it's looked at as an opinion. Facts are facts when they're proven to be right. Opinions are just opinions. They can go either way. I don't want to get, I don't want to explain the differences here on the podcast because it would take probably several hours or a couple episodes just to get this point through. And I don't want to bore the listeners. So with that being said, I want to go through some of my postings that I get on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram. I also want to go through, I can't give you my group page postings because it's fairly new. We only launched that earlier today, guys, which, thank you. It's, it's still a short group page on Facebook, short of only 21 members on there, but it's growing. It's growing. Give it some time and hopefully we'll be up to several thousand. I'd like to see it grow to several thousand, probably a couple of 100,000 if we can get it that high, which I don't have a problem. I don't think I'll have a problem getting the following on that group page high because my content is heard, overseas in other countries. You wouldn't believe half the emails I get on this show from Ireland, people from Italy, people from the UK, people from Canada, all over the country. People hear this podcast, which is great because it's conservative, patriotic content that needs to be heard. Okay? I don't give you rubbish bullshit like fake news CNN or MSNBC or people like The View I just plugged into the show as it was opening up. I'm not like that, guys. Why should I give you something I want you to hear? What I want you to hear is fact, truth, positive truth of news. Okay? The right side of it, not the left side of it. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a liberal. I'm a conservative patriot. That's the difference between a liberal and a conservative. I don't follow the left. I follow the right. Does that make sense, guys? I hope it does. Anyway, with that being said, guys, I want to show appreciation to some of my listeners and some of my followers here on the podcast and also the Unfiltered Patriot Nation. Thank you. I'm not going to give last names. I'm just going to give first names for privacy issues. I don't want to invade their personal space or their privacy. I don't want to do that, okay? It's not my nature of doing that. I don't believe in that, guys. But with that being said, I want to give thanks and appreciation to Joe. basically following my content on the Back the Blue Monmouth County group page. Thank you very much. I share a lot of content on that group page, so thank you to that group page for allowing my content to be shared on that group page. Much appreciation. Also want to say thank you to American Voices, another page on Facebook. Thank you very much. I do plug in some content on that. Also would like to give thank you to Robert out of New Jersey. Thank you, Robert, for following the podcast here. Thank you for giving your time and your energy to even listening to our shows. I know he's a good listener, and he follows my content on a lot of different social media platforms that I have. So thank you, Robert. Also want to say thank you to Annette that follows me on another group page, U.S. Freedom Fighters. Thank you, Annette, for basically liking my content and expressing your reaction to my content on that group page. Speaking of U.S. Freedom Fighters, I had them on my podcast, guys, a couple episodes back. You can check our library. Yeah. Okay. You can check our library on our audio podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Google, or Apple. Just search the Patriot Angle Podcast. Will pop right up in the search bar. Thank you, U.S. Freedom Fighters, the guys on U.S. Freedom Fighters. Jerry and Brad that run that group page. Thank you, guys. Looking forward to having you on my show in January. Looking forward to having Jerry on the show, which will be a live stream. Had him on my show about almost a month and a half ago. It's in the library, guys. You can check that show out. He's a great conservative patriot. So thank you, U.S. Freedom Fighters. Thank you, Annette. And also, too, I want to get into a couple more others before I move on to my next topic. Like I said, this show, I want to sneak a little segment in to just show appreciation to listeners and followers that follow me all over the world. It's something that, I believe that needs to be aired on this podcast. So thank you, everyone. Also want to say to I'll do three more, okay? Three more, guys. Thank you, Kevin, okay? Thank you for now following me on Unfiltered Patriot Nation. That's our group page that we mentioned earlier on the show. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for your support. Thank you for following our group page. Thank you, Zach, new follower on our Unfiltered Patriot Nation group page. Thank you, Zach. And one more, guys. Thank you, Jason. Jason joining us on our group page as well, Unfiltered Patriot Nation. Thank you, Jason. And one more, guys. One more. I know I was going to say three, but one more. Thank you, Bernadette, another follower on our Unfiltered Patriot Nation. Thank you, Bernadette, for joining us on the Unfiltered Patriot Nation. Also, too, guys, I want to get into a couple more topics here, okay? I want to basically get into a topic that's just I don't think a lot of people are mentioning this, guys, on any of the podcast, whether it's conservative, liberal, whatever. I've heard a couple guys that are mentioning the Rittenhouse story, right? If anybody doesn't know what the Rittenhouse story is, it's a sad story, guys. I've seen it. Breitbart actually was. They have their story literally on their website of Breitbart. And it's a touching story, guys. It's a touching story. It's also a sensitive story, okay? I don't want to give you my side of it, but I want to get into that story, guys. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back, guys. You're not going to want to miss this, okay? I'm not going to be biased. Yes, a ping on that one. I'm not going to be biased, guys, on this. I'll give you some thoughts and reactions of my own personal belief of it. But I just want to let the listeners know, yes, it is a very sensitive topic, a very sensitive story, right? And I believe that it should have a little of a segment here on the podcast today. With that being said, guys, I want to take a quick break, and I'll be right back after these words. Don't go anywhere. Mike Gardner, a host like no other, unfiltered, unscripted, raw.
Will is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now he's free to become Wonderland Will. Deck the halls with printer paper. Recycled, of course.
Up would be the operative word there, pal.
If you ride, you get it. Geico Motorcycle.
All right, guys, back to the show here. We're getting into this topic here with the Kyle Rittenhouse story, segment topic, however you want to say it, guys. It's I know, like I said, a lot of whether they're podcast hosts, or talk show or whatever, some of them are touching on this topic on their shows, and some of them are getting into guys, they're getting into maybe it's truth, maybe it's fabrication of what they believe of this story, guys, but like I said, I don't want to give you a bias sideshow of a story here, because that's not who I am as a host, okay? I don't want to do that, guys. I don't know how to literally explain this, but I will get into it as much as I humanly can, okay? Like I said, it's a touching story, guys. Touching story. Just earlier today, Tuesday here, okay? Kyle Rittenhouse supporters, Black Lives Matter, gathered outside the courthouse ahead of the verdict. And literally, they gathered outside of the Kenosha County Courthouse as the rest of the nation awaited the jury's verdict in the 18-year-old's trial. Okay, which, if any of you've seen some of the video content that, some of the platforms such as, Newsmax or Newsweek or even Breitbart had, posted on their platforms, their websites, right, where you actually seen Kyle Rittenhouse, I think this was earlier last week, yeah, literally in tears. Some of people saying it was fake, it was all for, political theater and this and that. Guys, I'm not no therapist, I'm not a psychological evaluator, but by looking at that did not look fake, guys. That did not look staged. It looked pretty real to me. The tears, I mean, I know you can fake emotions and you can fake sadness and stuff like that. I know that can be fabricated. I know people do that, for the upper hand. I know, guys. It's been proven already. Okay, but let's not get into that. Okay? If you go on to Breitbart.com and you search this segment, actually, believe it or not, you know what I'll do, guys? I'll actually I'll actually post this on our website, the Patriot Angle Podcast. So that way, you know, the listeners here on the show and everything else, you guys can actually see this article for yourselves. I'll mention a little bit on the show because I got, you know, something I want to plug in aside from this that's related to it. But the footage actually on the website, guys, shared to social media, shows Rittenhouse supporters and Black Lives Matter activists engaging in dueling chants. Spotted among the group of BLM supporters was Justin Blake, the uncle of Jacob Blake, the African-American male whose shooting by police sparked violence and riots in Kenosha. During the riot, guys, Rittenhouse shot and killed 2 individuals in what he told the court was an act of self-defense. And that was his own words. I'm not making up these words, guys. It's actually in the article, too. You can read the article on Breitbart, or you can head over to our website, the Patriot Angle Podcast.com, and it'll be posted on our website, the actual article and everything else. The same article that I post on my website is the same article you'll see on Breitbart. And this is his words, guys. It was an act of self-defense. At the time of Blake's shooting, there was a warrant for his arrest for a third-degree sexual assault, trespassing, and disorderly conduct. A knife, guys, was also found in his vehicle at the time, according to Wisconsin authorities. Now, however you look at it, you know, whether it's rhetoric or, you know, your own personal view, that's your own personal view. You know, I can't get upset with you because you're viewing your own patriotic view, your free speech, your thoughts, your reactions to it. That's your own personal opinion. Okay? I'm not going to agree with you because you might be wrong by airing some of the crap. But I wasn't there, guys, when it happened. And most likely you weren't there either. So, you know, whatever you say, that's your opinion. Do I agree with it? I can't say I do and I can't say I don't. I wasn't there, guys. I don't understand the reaction to it because I wasn't there. I'm giving you my own personal opinion, my own personal thought on this whole crap. Okay? Why is it crap? Because it's crap when you have people that go to levels when they don't completely understand the whole story to begin with. Most of these people that are reacting to this, such as BLM and, you know, and other people that are, you know, chanting, okay, and this story that I'm saying that was literally earlier today right outside the Kenosha County Courthouse, they weren't there. They don't understand it. People are only doing it for social media fame, you know. This is what we have in America. That's why people air their grievances. They're not airing their true grievances on this. They're only airing grievances so they can get their voice out, so they can get their face out on social media. Guys, check this out. This was earlier today. Demonstrators outside the courthouse awaiting the verdict. Like I said, there were competing chants between Black Lives Matter supporters and the Kyle Rittenhouse supporters. Both of them. Between Rittenhouse's supporters and BLM activists. Check this out, guys. We'll plug this right into the show here. I mean, all right, guys, you know, you could hear a little bit of people shouting and everything. I'll try with another video here. Here's a better video here. On the courthouse steps in Kenosha, where Black Lives Matter demonstrators and Justin Blake, Jacob Blake's uncle, chanting, who I mentioned earlier in this segment here, guys. Check this out. Yeah. You can hear them chanting there. That was the literally on the courthouse steps earlier today in Kenosha. The demonstrators and Justin Blake and Jacob Blake's uncle chanting, and this, guys, like I said, I can't give you, a complete answer to this because it's a touching story, guys. Yes, there was wrongs in this. There was wrongs. But if it was done in an act of self-defense, if it was an act of self-defense, who's to argue, right? Who's to argue? If you're doing this in an act of self-defense, who's to argue? That's what it comes down to.
Lock them up. He gonna take me to the street to find the police.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't have anything on this. Like I said, guys, it's are we gonna now literally go to bias extreme levels every time something happens when it involves a black individual? Have we become a country, guys, where we've become so divided as a nation where we have to go to extreme levels? Seriously, guys, you need to literally ask yourself that question. It's $1 million question, guys. Have we become a divided nation? Is our nation more divided now than it once was under, Abraham Lincoln and the time in America during those times? I could tell you, folks, in my own personal opinion, we're more divided now as a nation than we once was under President Abraham Lincoln. It's gone to extreme levels, guys. We've seen violence. We've seen, erratic behavior from the midst of everything. Look at last year, the summer of last year, what, BLM and the rioting and looting. It was terrible. Terrible. Some of those people are maniacs. They're nut jobs. They should belong in jail. But God forbid we can't say that, folks, because if we say that, we're more racist and biased and everything else. You can't say that now. We've become a nation where you can't literally say that. That's wrong. They have a right to riot. They have a right to loot. They're owed reparations. Owed what? No, their great-grandfather or great-grandmother that might have lived during, the Civil War times of slavery and everything else, those are the ones that are owed reparations. Not these millennial brats. What the hell they owed? Were they around during slavery? No, they weren't. Most of you will agree with me, and most of you won't. Most of you will be like, that's wrong, Mike. You can't say that. Why can't I say it? Why can't I say it? What the hell are they owed? They're not owed anything. They're only saying that because they're trying to create more division in this country. Whether you want to admit that's true or not, that's on your own view. But it's true. It is. Guys, check this out. This was earlier. Was this early? Yes, earlier today. Earlier today on The View. Okay? And I'll plug it into the show, guys. But I want to let everybody know I don't follow these people. I think they are, like I said, the most liberal show in America, and shows like this are what's influencing the hate, what's influencing the division in this country, guys, because like I said, shows like this, they need to be canceled. Okay, we need to come together as a united country, not a divided country. We're more divided than ever in our political history. Check this out, guys. This is Whoopi Goldberg herself literally giving her reaction to the Rittenhouse weapons charge. Check this out, guys.
Some of this is just mind-boggling. All eyes are on Wisconsin after lawyers made closing arguments on whether 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, traveling across state lines to take up arms before killing 2 men and wounding a third during a night of social justice protests and unrest, were acts of self-defense, or was it vigilante murder? Let's take a look.
One of the things to keep in mind is that when the defendant provokes the incident, he loses the right to self-defense. You cannot claim self-defense against a danger you create.
Wait a minute. Let me stop it right there. Pause it right there. Pause on the spot, okay? Did you just hear what he said? When the person provokes, you lose the act of self-defense. Where the hell does that say? Does that state in the Constitution or anywhere in law? I'm not saying I agree with the defense on this, the Rittenhouse defense team. I don't. I'm not saying I agree with any of this, but let's clear the facts here. Where does it state that? Anywhere in law. If it was an act of self-defense, yes, I'll agree to it. If he was doing this in an act of self-defense during the civil protests, okay, then he has a right to defend himself by any means. If he was posing, if he had the opposition, right, posing a threat on his livelihood, then he has a right to defend himself, right? You got a bunch of maniacs coming after you. I'm just using this as an example, okay? Now, guys, if you have a bunch of maniacs coming after you with knives, guns, or whatever the hell they choose to use, you're going to try to defend yourself, right? Because at that point, it's either your life or theirs, right? Anybody in the world would agree with me on that, okay? As much as this thing digs out, guys, and we get more of the insight of the story here, the actual story, the accurate story, then we can make an analysis for ourselves, okay? But we can't make an analysis because it's still fresh into the case. No one knows. That's why it's called a trial. We learn as we go through the case. Stop making assumptions, Whoopi. You don't know. That's why I don't watch these idiots, because they make assumptions right away. They're right away to point the finger. You heard her on the show just now as I'm plugging into the show. He was using weapons and deadly weapons to kill somebody. Oh, where were you, Whoopi, last year when Black Lives Matter were using, weapons? Guys, I hate to judge. I'm not a person to judge. I want to set the record here. I don't judge. But the only time when I do judge is when judging needs to be settled here. Okay? And I'll say this. Where were you, Whoopi? Where were you on when Black Lives Matter activists, okay, were using deadly force last summer, destroying businesses, looting, causing mayhem, literally punching police officers in the face, using deadly force in some scenarios. Where were you on that? Where was your reaction on that, Whoopi? I'll tell you where your reaction was. Nowhere. You didn't even mention it. Go ahead, folks. Look up some of their content last year during the summer of 2020. People like Whoopi Goldberg and people from The View, they didn't even mention any of the rioting and looting from BLM last year. You can't find any of their content on that because there isn't. Check this out, guys. More of this lawyer here literally saying this in the courthouse earlier today. Check this out, guys. I'll plug more of it in.
You don't do is you don't bring a gun to a fist fight. What the defendant wants you to believe is that because he's the one who brought the gun, he gets to kill.
Kyle shot Joseph Rosenbaum to stop a threat to his person. And I'm glad he shot him, because if Joseph Rosenbaum had got that gun, I don't for a minute believe he wouldn't have used it against somebody else.
So the jury is deliberating as we speak. So, I mean, how do you see this ending? I think it's really a red light for white folks coming to help at social justice protests. Because basically what they're saying is, oh, it's okay to shoot white people too. Well,
What? Are you hearing this hysteria, this madness that we see in America today? It's okay to shoot white folks too? Again, Whoopi, where were you on last year's events of rioting, looting, and deadly force from BLM activists and Antifa? Where were you on that, Whoopi? Again, nowhere. Guys, I'm going to close it out here in a short moment of time here on the show. But guys, we have to stop this craziness. We have to. You're going to continually see just chaos in this country if we continue to allow it. When you have people such as Whoopi and other co-hosts on The View, which are liberal as hell, create and influence this. You want to know where the division is? It's coming from people like that. That's where the true division in this country is. They're influencing it, and you are believing it. Stop. That's all, guys. It's my closing. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you learned something. Okay? And also, too, guys, if you want to hear this podcast more in the future, please share it with 5 others to continue the patriotic conservative movement in this country. That's the only way we can save this country. Only way. With that being said, guys, I hope you liked today's podcast, and you can follow me on social media, whether it's Instagram, okay, or Facebook. Facebook, The Patriot Angle Podcast. Instagram, Patriot_Angle_Unfiltered. Okay, guys? And also, too, if you miss any of our episodes, you can check us out on our website, PatriotAnglePodcast.com. All the episodes are posted on that website. Okay? And you can also follow us, guys, on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Catch all current and previous episodes on any of those 3 platforms. That being said, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an Anchor platform.